Well, there's been a real tidal wave and explosion of new content available to also consume in different ways. But the real driver has been that technology barriers have now come down. So technology that previously wasn't affordable is now available in the cloud, it's now global, and that technology can be made available to all content owners, whether they be large or small. And I guess additionally, you've seen lots of established brands going direct to consumer for the first time. And an example of that would be someone like DAZN in the sports arena that are changing the landscape of content rights. And all of those brands are fueling other niche brands to go direct to consumer and have that audience relationship directly.
I think also what you have there is a wave of consumer behavior that's changing. So consumers, rather than going to an aggregator like a Sky or even like a Netflix in some cases where everything is available but not at a huge amount of depth, they can now go off and hunt for the exact kinds of content they want on a niche service wherever they want to find it. There was this statistic, I can't remember the name of the survey, but there was a statistic that came out earlier this year from a survey that said that 63% of consumers would rather build their own content diet, for lack of a better term. They'd rather build their own content diet from numerous different services rather than going to one particular aggregator and taking everything from them. So that's one other big thing that I think is changing behavior. The other thing is you have people like Netflix as well, who whenever they launch in a new region, you see all the other previously linear broadcasters or pay TV providers. When Netflix comes into a region, that creates a huge boom in stuff going onto digital platforms because everyone wants to retain their audience share. They don't want to lose them to Netflix. And so that creates new opportunities in the market, not just for those large pay TV or linear broadcasters, but also for the smaller niche guys that now the audience is ready and receptive to that kind of content, they can get in there as well. So I think there's a couple of key elements in creating a successful direct-to-consumer proposition. The first one has to, of course, be content. I know it's an old and trite saying by now, but content is still king. Platforms need to have compelling, interesting content available to entice consumers in. But once they've got them there, what is it, once they've enticed them in, what is it that's going to keep them on the platform? And that's the sort of second part that I feel is really important to creating a successful D2C proposition is in the UI. It's going to be in the user interface and the user experience that users are going to really want to keep coming back. If it's difficult to find content, if it's difficult to access content or discover new content or search for content, that's going to create friction for the user. And it doesn't matter how much good content is available, if the experience of finding it and watching it is difficult, is unpleasant, eventually their desire to stay with the service is going to go. So while content gets them through the door, it's really the user experience and the user interface that's going to keep them within the experience and loyal to the service for the long haul, I think.
The other key element is to really provide a frictionless business model. And by business model, I mean the business models are moving and becoming more hybrid. So gone are the days where it's just purely advertising. Direct-to-consumers now want to have a mix of certain content types that might be driven by advertising, other content type that might be pay-per-view for live events, as a for instance, and then there'd be a whole content type that gives them the flexibility to put that behind a paywall that is subscription-based. And so the key element is having all those business models and all the flexibility to make it frictionless to pay for content and make them available so you can blend them together. One of the key challenges that we're seeing is what I just described really, which is all around the business model, is many direct-to-consumer premium content owners going down this route for the first time. They struggle to create the right business case and the right business models and understand what is the business model that matches the content. So having a video commerce capability that is easy and simple to configure and the agility to make it frictionless and integrated into the user experience is a real key challenge. The other challenge becomes data. and how do we use data? And data is now surfaced up in the video ecosystem from various different sources. So having simple analytical data that is presented that helps them understand how they drive their business, what are the key performance indicators that will drive an uptake of audience, and what are the key performance indicators that tell me what content is performing, how people are performing on the different devices, and all of the audience that consumed on those multiple devices. How do we aggregate all that data together and present it in simple, actionable insights that help them manage their profitability around their video service?
Additionally, I think another challenge is in the technology. Previously, you had technology providers and platform providers that were very expensive when you're looking at it from the perspective of a tier 2, tier 3, a mid-market content owner or broadcaster. The upfront fees and the timelines of deployment for a lot of the bigger guys who were very, very specialist, it was simply too much. It was too complex and it was too expensive. Now what we have though, as those technology barriers have come down, as we mentioned earlier, is you've had solutions that effectively can be one-stop shop, straight out of the box. There's a whole platform ready for you. It enables a much more rapid deployment, but also enables you to get to market at a much lower price point, and obviously realize revenue much quicker as a result, which is a huge benefit to direct-to-consumer services, and obviously is a challenge that now that those barriers have come down, it's a challenge that they can overcome easier.
Well, it's far more affordable to have an end-to-end platform that is out of the box, and most direct-to-consumer plays are looking for that one company that can take them on that journey in an affordable way, but more importantly, have the ability to configure and have full control and flexibility to be able to provide that end-to-end experience for their consumers. And so we see that as a really key advantage of one turnkey solution, and also time to value. Being able to launch fast. Gone are the days where it's going to take 10 months to launch a brand new OTT solution, particularly if you build a lot of it yourself. It's going to be long, drawn out delivery times. So being able to launch within a 90-day period of time and gain audiences fast and start driving revenue fast is really critical.
I think also you have a particular advantage around your device reach. When you're building a service from scratch and using multiple different providers, it can be quite a challenge to get onto new devices because you need to build a new entire app, an app ecosystem. You need to build the UI for that app. You need to, build per device as you go. So you need to build for tablet, you need to build for mobile, you need to build for web, etc. With an out-of-the-box solution, though, you can have a huge device reach very, very quickly, literally out of the box. You can get onto new devices very quickly. You can configure, as Neil mentioned, you can configure that experience so that it's tailored for the users that are particularly preferential towards that particular device type. You can do that very easily as well. And it really just enables you to, rather than just starting on web and growing slowly and at cost, you can just get your brand out there onto as many different devices as possible. So really you can reach consumers where they are very, very quickly.
Well, we offer an end-to-end solution, but the most important capability that we offer and the way that we like to engage with our prospective customers is really to help them understand what the right monetization strategy is. So we have a whole tool set and consulting service that helps to business model all the different ways that they can monetize their content and link their monetization strategy to their content proposition. That business modeling is critical because it's the #1 challenge that they face in understanding how they build profitability. Once we've taken them through that journey and taken them through that model and realize that we can then start to have the technology discussion with them, we then talk about the key elements of our solution. And our solution really forms into 3 different elements. First is really understanding the data that we talked to earlier around the kind of analytics that they're going to need to run their profitable service. And those analytics is really talking about the lifetime value of a client, understanding the commercial elements of your content, what content should be bundled in what way, what skinny bundles and pricing strategy you need to have around that content, and making sure the quality of service across all the different devices, you've got all the analytics you need to measure, manage, and give you the insights that you need. So that's kind of one dimension. The second dimension is talking about commerce flexibility, having the frictionless ability to put all the different business models into the user experience out of the box and configure it, and not have lots of systems integration work to do that. We find that our customers are looking for that as a key requirement, and so having that flexibility is a core tenet of our solution. And I guess the third and final dimension is really having an engine that enables you to rapidly develop new devices and new apps on those devices with a templated approach. So out of the box, it looks like a full-blown OTT solution. You don't have to build it from the ground up. And then you have the real-time dashboard that we call the Airbeem dashboard that enables you to make all the moves and changes you want on all of those devices in the engine. You do it once and it will render that user change across any of the devices that you're providing your user experience around. So they're the three key elements, and I guess what that really means we're providing is we're enabling our customers to unlock the value of their content today by optimizing it, monetizing it, analyzing it, and then effectively enabling to customize it.